Hello, podcast listeners. We know podcasts are a great way to catch up on a program that you may have missed on KSJE, and it's provided as a free service of this radio station. But you know, KSJE is now listener supported, and so while you enjoy this podcast, we hope that you'll also take some time to join KSJE. Become a member today. It's quite easy to do. Just go to our website at ksje.com/support and pick the level of support that best matches your budget. Thanks again for listening. Here's your podcast. This program is supported by San Juan Health Partners Urology, providing a wide range of personalized services for the whole family, including children. Our caring professionals are dedicated to helping meet your urology health needs with skill, experience, and service you need. For a complete listing of our services and to learn more, visit sanjuanhealthpartners.com or call 505-609-6300. San Juan Health Partners Urology, a division of San Juan Regional Medical Center. Joining me here in the studio, one of the candidates running for New Mexico representatives in District 4 in San Juan County, and that is Anthony Allison is here. Mr. Allison, thank you for coming in to KSJE this morning.
Thank you for having me.
You bet. I appreciate you being here. And you are running in District 4, and that is a lot of the western side of San Juan County, correct?
Yes, it is. That's correct.
Okay, and we can show folks what we're talking about here. There's the map for folks who are watching us this morning on Facebook and YouTube. If you're on the radio, you just have to kind of listen to our description of the district. But it's a big chunk, pretty much all of Shiprock and the surrounding area, and
Yes,
then a little bit to the east, right?
Yes.
And I would
all the way to the Arizona line, actually.
Right, it goes all the way over. That's true, and it includes all of the Kirtland area, I would say.
Yes, it does.
And the water flow area on the one side of the river, right?
Kirtland, yes.
And that is kind of the area that we are talking about this morning. And so, Mr. Allison, you've decided to run for office. Tell me why.
Well, I never used to be a politician until 2014 when we had the Navajo Nation elections.
Okay.
And we had a candidate that was very, very able, and we supported him. And then in the aftermath of that chaotic election, our votes were disenfranchised. That's what made me get an interest into politics, and I wanted to be a part of the solution so that dilemma would never happen again.
Understood. And so here you are. You're running, and how's the campaign going so far?
The campaign is going well. I guess the Democratic Party saw that I love helping people, love helping the voters. So that's when they talked to me, and I accepted the nomination.
You're running as a Democrat against an incumbent Republican.
Yes, I am.
And so as you go out and campaign, what are things that you're hearing from voters that you're talking with? Are folks telling you that they're ready for a change, or is it kind of a tough sell against an incumbent?
Yes, it is. I talk to people that are ready for change. They tell me that there's some projects that have stalemated, and some of the promises that have been made that have not been carried through, and some of the concerns that people have expressed. One of the biggest concerns that they have expressed to me was they cannot carry a one-on-one dialogue because of the language difference. I speak fluent Navajo and I speak fluent English, so I can communicate with everybody that's in my district.
That's important in District 4.
It is very important in District 4.
Right. And one of your campaign platforms, I noticed, was infrastructure. Talk to me a little bit about your concerns for that and what you'd hope to accomplish at the Roundhouse.
Okay. In my travels, as I campaign, I'm going to take, for example, the road, Highway 64 to Baclabato.
That is west of Shiprock as you go towards the Four Corners.
Towards the Four Corners,
yes.
Sir. It's like riding a bronc. You're bouncing all over the road, and there's not very many safety pullouts, if any. And we have school buses that run on that road, and some of the bus stops are in pits where oncoming traffic would have minimal time to react should there be an emergency. So things like that, there is always going to be continuous improvement on the roads. Part of the infrastructure also is that when we do power lines, before the electricians lower their basket to the ground, they should be stringing high-speed internet right below the power lines. So wherever the power lines extend, we should have an extension of the high-speed internet as well.
Right.
The reason for that is when I was doing my homework as a youngster, I had an open book and a notebook that I was writing on. Today's youth, they open a laptop instead of a book and a notebook. And in order for them to do their homework, they need high-speed internet. So that is the reason why that is one of my projects.
Very true. And how much of that is a responsibility of the state of New Mexico as a state representative, which is the office you're running for, or the Navajo Nation, or even San Juan County? Is it a project of either one of those or all three together?
In order for it to come to fruition, all three have to work together. And accountability is going to be a big part in that because let's say, for example, some monies were allocated to it. We want to make sure that it goes to the project that it's intended for.
Right. And I know we've been talking, it seems like folks have been talking about high-speed internet on the reservation for a very long time. I remember President Clinton coming to Shiprock talking about the need for that, and that goes back 20 years, maybe, almost? So
probably about 20 years,
long
yes.
time. But it's a big space and a big geographic region that we're talking about, so it does take time, I know, to get these things in, but that's one of the things you're talking about.
Yes, it does take time, yes, but it's going to take even longer if we drag our feet on it. We need to get proactive. We need to get started on it right now. At least get it where nobody is waiting on us.
Right. Another thing that you talk about wanting to work on in if you're elected to the State House is health care. And that's a big issue, I know, for everyone, I think, across the country with the Affordable Care Act and some of the changes that have been proposed and other things along that line and Indian Health Service and things like that. What's your concerns about health care?
Okay, with health care, the premiums and rates are constantly going up. And I believe that our government owes it to us to have adequate health care. I supported one of the candidates that was advertising health care, Medicare for all. And I thought that was a very, very good concept to give back to our people. And we need improvements in our Indian health services. There is always room for improvement.
Right. And so what can the state do in that regard? Or is IHS more of a federal program?
The IHS is more of a federal program, yes, but I think the state should have an oversight because the government cannot come down to our level to do the oversight, whereas we should have people available locally to have that oversight.
The federal government you're talking about?
I'm talking about the state.
The state.
The federal government would not have time to do the oversight here, so we should have some of that responsibility from the state side where we are closer for the oversight.
I hear what you're saying. Okay. I want to ask you, too, about economic development because, of course, there's a lot of uncertainty about the future of the San Juan Generating Station, the San Juan Mine, which I know is not necessarily in District 3 or 4, pardon me, or is it?
It is the PNM.
PNM is in District 4.
Yes.
We just looked at the map. And so, and then there's calls into question about the future of the APS power plant, too.
Yes.
And so, what do you think we can do at the state level to try to either help move from that type of energy production to a different kind or to try to save and protect coal-fired power plants?
As my resume says, I am a retired coal miner. So the coal industry has been very good to me and my family. And contrary to some of the rumors that has been displayed to me, I am not against coal. But I am good for transitioning to renewable energy because the expiration of the coal in mining is imminent. It's coming sooner than later, and we need to prepare for it. What I'd like to see is a smooth transition where people work together so that we move on without displacing many people. At the same time that the coal-powered power plant's still running, we should be researching where do we build, like, for example, wind turbines or solar panels and slowly migrate the two into one another.
Sure. And a lot of folks are talking about that what's next for the energy industry in this part of the state. We certainly have the transmission lines to get energy out of here. The issue is how do we make that energy, and whether it's solar panels or natural gas or coal, if coal is going away, what's next? But a lot of times there isn't like a one-to-one job match. It takes more people to run a coal plant and a coal mine than a solar field.
Yes. When I was working, we were really, really big on continuous improvement. And the coal power plants have been doing that. They've been making continuous improvement on updating the scrubbers and things like that to minimize the output of carbon dioxide and such gases. I think we still need to continue doing that, where we slowly minimize the coal output. It may probably never happen in my lifetime, but we should never stop continuous improvement.
I see. So you're saying that maybe the coal plants will continue in maybe a reduced fashion, and at the same time bring along these other new technologies of wind or solar to run right alongside of them, or what have you, so that they can kind of transition in as the other transitions out.
That's exactly what I am saying.
And
I don't believe in stopping coal right now and closing the power plants, because we need the resources that is available to us at this time to continue the employment, continue the good wages and so forth. We need to slowly transition.
Right. And from a state standpoint, I mean, what types of things do you feel the state should be doing to help us move maybe in that direction?
There's going to be legislations that support the transition, and I will be voting on these legislations, which in my mind would be for the good of the people, not just select few, or maybe not just the parties. So the other party might have a better idea than us, and I'm willing to negotiate and collaborate with them so that the outcome is good for the rest of the people.
If I heard you correctly, you were saying that you're willing to talk to the Republicans on the other side of the aisle if they have an idea for jobs and economic development here?
There is always good ideas from both sides. I think we need to capitalize on who has the best idea, because the best idea is going to benefit the most people.
That seems a bit refreshing to me in this political climate these days. So it's nice to hear you say that. And that is another question when we go back to politics. And there's a lot of folks who maybe vote party first and not candidate first. Do you run into that sometimes when you're talking to people?
I do, but like I said, we are here for the benefit of the people.
Right.
And I will be here for the benefit of the people. I am willing to listen. One of the things that I said would be my platform was going to be that I educate, collaborate, re-educate, and then legislate. What I mean by that is if I have a project, I'm going to educate my constituents and then collaborate with them as to come to the final outcome, and then re-educate what we're doing and then legislate in a positive manner.
Very good. Let me ask you a little bit about some other topics here this morning. Anthony Allison is my guest this morning. He's running for New Mexico State Representative in District 4, the western part of San Juan County. You talk a little bit about Amber Alert system and Real ID, and I know there's been a push to get an Amber Alert system up and running on the Navajo Reservation. I think that is underway. What's the status of that? That's still on your website as a campaign issue, right?
Yes, it is. The Amber Alert, we've all read in the media where money was allocated, and then all of a sudden the material that was bought disappeared.
Allocated to the tribe.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
allocated to the tribe. It was done at least 2 or 3 times, and all times the money was never recovered. So my thought is that because it's an allocation from the federal and the state, I feel that the state should have an oversight on it to promote the accountability, the saying, keeping honest people honest.
Right. True.
And that is the only way I think that the Amber Alert would be successful.
Really needs.
I want it to be successful.
Sure. It really needs to be in place so that
Yes.
it can be useful. When there's so many horrible stories about maybe ways that it could have been useful had it been up and running from some recent
Yes,
tragedies. So
that's right.
that makes sense. Real ID, there's another issue there because that is something that all the states seem to be moving toward, a federal requirement for
Yes.
identification and driver's licenses. And there's a concern that maybe some members of your district, District 4, may not be able to get the Real ID or maybe at a disadvantage. Talk to me about that.
Real ID. What opened my eyes on Real ID was one of my brothers went to Santa Fe. Well, he went to Gallup first to get his license renewed.
Okay.
And then he was told he had to go to Santa Fe. He arrived in Santa Fe with what he thought was proper documentation. And then they told him that, well, you need a birth certificate. My brother says, I was born at home. I do not have a birth certificate, but the real ID requires a birth certificate. So he was sent back to Fort Defiance, and finally located a birth certificate, and then took that back to Santa Fe, and then they told him, well, we need an address that's got a house number, a street number, and so forth. We do not have such things, a rural addressing system on the Navajo Nation. So I think we need to filter out some of the obstacles in the Real ID Act where it's more realistic. And I believe that we should have sub-offices of the government or the state government agencies, such as the New Mexico License Bureau, located near or in the larger towns on the reservation, like Shiprock, Tohatchee, and Sheep Springs, Fort Defiance, places like that where we don't have to go to Phoenix or Santa Fe to get our driver's license.
That makes sense to me. It is a lot of driving, I know, when you're trying to deal with some of these governmental agencies, correct?
Yes.
And whether it's VA or for Veterans Administration or state offices or federal offices is what you're talking about.
Yes, and I would really, really like to see some of those bigger offices in our larger reservation communities.
Very good. Mr. Allison, we are out of time for our conversation this morning. If folks would like more information about your campaign, I know you have a website and a Facebook page, correct?
Yes, we do. Our website is anthony4newmexicohouse.com.
And that's the number 4.
That's the number 4.
Okay. And same thing if they search for that on Facebook, I bet your page will pop up.
Yes, my Facebook is anthonyallison4newmexicohouse.com.
All right. Anthony Allison, thank you for coming in this morning.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Anthony Allison, my guest here on KSJE, running as a Democrat for state representative in District 4. I'm Scott Micklin, back with more in just a moment on KSJE. This program on KSJE is supported by Citizens Trust and Investment Corporation, providing a competent, innovative, and caring team of professionals to serve wealth management, trust administration, employee benefit plans, retirement planning, and estate settlement needs. Find out more about Citizens Trust and Investment Corporation at 505-599-0181. Enjoy that podcast? We hope that you did. And if you did, share it with your friends. And if you really want to keep podcasts like this coming, please support KSJE. You can do it easily online at ksje.com.